All right, let's kind of get into the similar tests I did before. So you can see on the screen there, I got my LQ, my RSSI, and then I have it set to dynamic power. You can see I'm at 10 milliwatts here. So let's fly it out and kind of do the same locations I was doing before. I'm still at, now it's at 100 milliwatts. It's not too bad. So yeah, I'm way farther out there. 50 milliwatts, 100, way farther out there than before, and still good LQ. And so yeah, so let's kind of take this up path we did before. So this is the receiver and antenna setup. Now I did this test previously and I had a flat receiver kind of tucked into this quad, and you can check out those results. But here, switched it up and have an EP, a Happy Model EP receiver on here, and then I have my antenna out the back. Now that's complementary to the transmitter only being able to go up to 250 milliwatts, whereas when I had the flat receiver kind of tucked in here, no antenna to deal with, that transmitter could go up to 1 watt or 1,000 milliwatts. And again, 250 milliwatts now. LQ dropping a little bit. So yeah, now it's behind me. You can see I'm way down there at the end of that path. So you can see I'm still getting great range. Now again, this is behind me. Let's come over here and do the kind of a slalom. You can see I kind of am off there to the right. Now I'm getting some telemetry warnings, but now here it really dies down because it's behind me and I have a tendency to go. I'm getting even my, yeah, I'm getting some telemetry, and even the goggles are dying down. Some telemetry loss stuff. But you can see I can definitely freestyle this puppy. I'm in an open area, so give that some clout. But you can see you can get some distance on this, and that you can see kind of what you're getting for the dynamic power, things of that nature. So yeah, plenty of range on this. Now, of course, you got an external antenna or something, you're going to get some range. It really depends on how far you push it. You know, if you're pushing it at some decent range and you need the maximum transmitter power, well, honestly, 2.4 gigahertz, although it's all the rage, it's probably not for you. 900 megahertz is still where you can get the most amount of range. So today we're checking out the BETAfpv Lite Pro radio. As you just saw there, that was the range test with checking it out without having any antenna, so it's an internal antenna on this. And on paper, this radio has it all. Hall effect gimbals, Express LRS built in, a Lite module bay on the back as well. Preloaded with Edge TX, durable, no break switches up here, stuff you're not gonna break off in your bag. This has an indent switch here, so it's not just like the jumper, so you can actually indent it in and then take it back out, so it has that little benefit. It's light and inexpensive. But when you get into the details, does it all add up? Does the paper match reality? And is this the radio for you? So, which do you prefer? This radio?
Yes.
You like that one? Feel that, hold that?
Pretty big.
Or do you like this one?
This one.
Why is that?
It's smaller and it can actually fit my hands, and this one is heavy. It's not heavy at all. And like when I'm moving the sticks, my fingers aren't big enough.
Okay, what about this one?
And this one, it's very, very light.
Yeah.
And I could easily move my fingers, and there's not so many things on it because I might accidentally there's like so
all
many,
these knobs.
There's so many things on this, I don't even know what they do. And on this, I could really understand it.
Yeah? Do you like the buttons better? Or?
Yeah, and the buttons just feel better.
Yeah, one of the things I think about with this one is if you drop this,
it's not gonna break, but
there's
if you
not
drop
like
this,
an antenna it's gonna break. There's not like all these switches and knobs that will break. You know?
Yeah.
Like if you drop this, I'd be like, ah! If you drop that, I'd be like, yeah, let's check it. It's
And
probably
the
okay.
texture also feels just better.
Oh, you like this texture too?
Yeah. The grip too.
Yeah.
Grip right here. Very nice.
All right, so you're giving that a thumbs up. Kid approved?
Kid approved.
So this radio is about 7 inches in width and about 5.5 inches in height. Measuring gimbal to gimbal centers, we're getting about 3.5 inches. For the screen, we're getting about 1.2 inches, 1.27, and for the screen height, about 0.67 inches high. It does come with some decent instructions. We'll kind of document the different buttons and features on the radio so you can see that. So that's kind of nice to come with. Specifically, these buttons on the bottom here. You have a DFU and a bootloader button here specifically. And then it can walk you through some of the menu setups and some of the information there. It talks about how to connect to SIM, also how you can charge it. And that's about it in the English section, and of course it has a Chinese section here as well with the same information. You can see here we have Edge TX loaded. Pretty standard setup for Edge TX. If you press this button to the right hand side and hold it, that gets you into your models, and then you can just kind of page through that for the OpenTX settings on that. And if you hit this button down here, it goes to the back button, and if you hold this right button to the left, then it goes into the system menu, and then you can page through those options. And it's just the standard menus that you're used to with OpenTX and Edge TX. And if you're not familiar with that, that is a very customizable firmware, so you really have the best options there for longevity. If you did want to use this controller with a simulator, you simply just plug in USB here. You can see I'm going to go ahead and plug that. Then of course you're going to want to pick this first option here, which is the USB joystick HID, and then click on that, and then that will make it available as a joystick in your computer for use for anything, honestly. Any games that is a joystick control, you can use this radio for. Likewise, if you want to access the flash on this, we're going to go ahead and plug it in again, and then I'm going to go down to USB and click on that, and that will make it as a USB device. And as you can see here, what will happen is 2 windows will pop up on your computer. This is where all the information is stored. I would close this window. You're not really interested in messing around with this one. And you typically would go into here for any Lua scripts or information you want to add to here. If you're not familiar with some of the SD card content that you might be putting onto the radio, if you see videos in regard to that, that's how you access it. All the storage is on board. Looking at the space that they have on board, it looks like it's about 500 megabytes available space. So not a ton, about half a gigabyte, but should be plenty to store. You can see it's fully loaded with all the sound packs and everything. And I have 268 megs left to put any other content on there. Now, one of the very odd downsides with the radio, at least that I received, and I'm not sure if it's just a fluke on this one that I received, but when I plug it in for powering it, it actually powers up the radio. So this is a USB connection that is just for power. I just have this plugged into a power bank, no computer or anything. And you can see it does start to charge it, but it enters into this mode, and actually very quietly, because the speaker on this is super quiet. It's ridiculously quiet, so I can hardly hear it from here. So it's not a very good speaker at all. But that's kind of a problem, because then it continuously says transmitter battery is slow too as well. Now I have figured out a fix to that is if I hold in the DFU button here and then plug it in at the same time, then I'm in good shape, because it starts to charge it. It doesn't give me transmitter battery is low or anything. It doesn't power up the radio. It doesn't turn on the screen. So that's like a little workaround for my radio here. Again, mileage may vary. I talked to BETAfpv about that. It doesn't seem like they're having the same issue on other radios, so take it for what it's worth. Now, I have noticed with these smaller gimbals, you do get a fair amount of jitter. Now, to be fair, this is with the ADC filter off, and you can see the jitter that you're getting. They're Hall effect gimbals, but you can just kind of see the jitter you're getting in there. And even if I move this over to full stick right, you can kind of see what I'm getting there with it. Right, left. You can see there it's holding pretty good. That one's holding pretty good at full stick pitch, so on and so forth. Now yaw has a little bit. Seems like it's any of the axes, on this, yaw back and forth, or it seems like kind of the left to right movement has a little bit more jitter than the forward and backward movement on it. Now, like I said, that is with the ADC filter off. So if I turn that back on, that's the main global settings, and then you can see that that reduces a lot of that jitter down. And you're still getting some, but obviously it reduces that jitter down quite a bit. The ADC filter does have some other performance things that unless I gotta be honest, if it's a beginner radio and you're a beginner, you're not gonna notice difference, and you could just leave the ADC filter on. But if you're a more advanced pilot and you want to have that ADC filter off, you can see you get some jitter there. Now I'm comparing that to my QX7 radio, also with Hall effect gimbals, and you can see some of the jitter I'm getting there on roll, pitch, and throttle, and this is with the ADC filter off. So you can see they're pretty rock steady and solid. And then if I go up to here and even just hold this over on stick right, you can see it just holds right there. It's not, you know, bouncing all over the place. And again, this is with the ADC filter off in both regards. I don't have the ADC filter on here at all. Just moving those up and down and then recentering that. So yeah, there's some jitter there, but it seems like there's definitely more on the BETAfpv Lite radio than I have on my QX7S. So with this radio, one comparison I noticed is just the similarity to something like an Xbox controller, and that's why I think this is ideal for something if you're bringing your kids into the mix, or if you're just looking for something for the closest mix to something like an Xbox controller. There's other options out there that are around the same price point that maybe have different features you might like the Jumper T Pro or the Commando, but they don't, you know, their shape and form factor aren't as close to kind of an Xbox controller that this is. So you can see kind of the size and configuration difference between these two. You're looking very close to the same size. You can do it the other way as well. Now here you can see that, you know, this is a little bit bigger, so hopefully the camera perception is there. So you can see, again, this is a little bit bigger. It covers it up when that's actually the closest one to the camera here. It looks like it's super duper close, but yeah, it's a little bit bigger. The back side is, of course, a little bit different. So it's not the exact same form factor, but it's very close. And yeah, if you're used to something in this configuration with the Xbox controller, this is going to feel not exactly the same, but very similar to that, and for fit, form, and feel. And I think that's, you know, like as soon as I saw this radio, the first thing I thought is, man, that looks pretty good and ideal for kids. So if you're in the market for something like that, you know, check this out. And of course, I did want to give you some comparison on weight. So this, for example, is around 276 grams, and that's everything. You know, you have your Express LRS receiver in here. There's a 2000 milliwatt battery in this to keep it powered. And this is my Xbox controller here. And you can see that's around 256. So about the same weight. This is a little bit heavier, 276 versus 256. And of course, that's going to be much lighter, both of those, than the big chunkamunka of the transmitter full. It's 774 grams. And of course, this is a lot heavier. The gimbals are adjustable on this, the stick ends for how far they come out. So I moved this one all the way out and this one's all the way in, how it comes. You can see the gimbals are kind of recessed in this bay here, and you can kind of get an idea of how far. This one's basically out as far as you can get, but you're getting, you know, a decent amount more gimbal on that. You can see, you know, just by putting my fingers there, the difference between the two on how much more stick throw or stick end you're going to get between the one and the other. So yeah, you can bring that quite a bit farther out. I didn't hit on it yet, but this does support trim, so you can see the trim knobs on here, and that is done through this little switch in the back. So I can switch this to this side, which would be this gimbal, and then I can use this to adjust my trim down for throttle or up, and then yaw, you can go left or right. Same thing if I switch it to this other side over here, then I can use these same switches to adjust the trims on this side here. Finally, it does come with these nice little gimbal protectors. So these are like squishy rubber, and you know, they're just nice. They feel nice. You know, the general feel of the radio is good. It's definitely light, of course, which is what you would expect from a gamepad style controller. But yeah, you get two of these. If you are interested in a setup video, like some of the first things you should do when you get this radio to calibrate it, and also how would you flash or reflash the Express LRS internal module here, to get your binding phrase or any settings you want on that, check out the link in the video description. I will have a separate video just going over those two topics. Again, check down the link in the video description for that. So that will do it for my review of the BETAfpv Lite 3 Pro radio. I think this radio is definitely for the person that wants something quick and easy they can throw in their bag. It doesn't have sticks that are going to break off here. Has make sense momentary switches here, which you don't get on like the Jumper Lite 3 Pro and things of that nature. I think Express LRS is definitely the way to go on this as well. And or if you have kids, I think this is, my kids like this a lot better. I feel a lot safer with this in their hands versus obviously my larger radio. Is there anything honestly with that doesn't have these kind of rockers here and doesn't have switches? Because they're going to drop the radio and break this. They've already dropped the radio and broke the switches on other stuff. So yeah, light, simple, compact, and kind of tolerant to not breaking all switches in your bags, things of that nature. As always, I do have links for this radio down in the video description, so check those out. And of course, those links, it doesn't matter if you purchase this radio or something else, click on those links to check out some specifics on this radio, but if you end up getting something else, you're still supporting the channel either way. If you found this video helpful and useful, please, I do appreciate a thumbs up on it. It does help the YouTube algorithm do its thing. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.
And smash that like button, please. Cause then if you guys get me 1 billion likes, then I can make videos that are Fortnite. So do you want Fortnite videos or this video? What's better?